My friends, life becomes peaceful not by adding more people, but by removing the wrong ones. You don't need everyone to like you, support you, or understand you. You just need the right people. People who lift you, not drain you, who reassure you, not confuse you, who respect you, not use you. Today I want to share something deeply meaningful, something that can protect your heart, your energy, and your future. Because keeping the wrong people in your life is like keeping weeds in a garden. No matter how beautiful the flowers are, the weeds will choke them. So listen with an open mind and a courageous heart. If someone does this in your life, it's time to cut them off with love, with peace, and with dignity. When someone constantly disrespects your boundaries, my friends, they are not just crossing a line, they are crossing into your inner peace. Boundaries are not selfish, boundaries are not rude, boundaries are not a sign of weakness. Boundaries are the silent guardians of your emotional well-being. They are the invisible fences that protect your dignity, your energy, and your mental space. And yet, some people pretend they cannot see those fences. They act as though your no is negotiable, your needs are optional, and your limits are inconveniences to be ignored. Think about it. Every time you say, "I'm not comfortable with that," and they still push you. Every time you express, "I need some space," and they guilt trip you. Every time you try to explain your feelings and they dismiss them with a laugh or a sarcastic comment. Something inside you slowly starts to shrink. You start second-guessing yourself. You start wondering, am I overreacting? Am I asking for too much? But no, my friends, you are not asking for too much. You are simply asking for respect. And respect is the bare minimum any human being deserves. A person who repeatedly violates your boundaries is showing you something very clearly. They value their comfort more than your well-being. They see your kindness as permission. They see your silence as acceptance. They see your patience as weakness. And the truth is, if you allow them to keep crossing the line, they will slowly erase the line altogether until you don't even recognize where you end and they begin. That is the dangerous part. You lose yourself trying to keep someone who doesn't care about losing you. Boundaries are a form of self-love. And when someone constantly disrespects them, they are disrespecting you. They are telling you without saying it openly, "My wishes matter more, my preferences matter more, my comfort matters more." And no relationship, whether it is a friend, a partner, a colleague, or even family, can survive when one person keeps taking and the other keeps tolerating. The saddest part is that boundary breakers often know exactly what they are doing. They test you, they push you, they see how far they can go before you speak up. And when you come from a kind heart, from a place of compassion, you tend to forgive, overlook, and hope they will change. But if someone keeps repeating the same disrespect, despite your gentle reminders, your explanations, your honesty, then, my friends, you must accept that they are not misunderstanding you. They are simply ignoring you. Life becomes much lighter when you protect your personal space. You must be willing to teach people how to treat you. You must be willing to say, "This is not okay." You must be willing to choose peace over pleasing. Because every boundary you enforce is a sign that you value yourself. And the right people, the people who love you, respect you, and want you to grow, will never feel threatened by your boundaries. They will honor them, they will appreciate them, they will understand them. So if someone keeps trampling over the limits you set, if they treat your comfort as an afterthought, if they refuse to acknowledge your emotional needs even after you express them again and again, then, my friends, it may be time to step back, not out of anger, not out of revenge, but out of self-respect. Letting someone go who cannot respect your boundaries is not cruelty, it is clarity. And sometimes clarity is the greatest kindness you can offer yourself. There is a quiet kind of hurt that many people carry but rarely speak about, and that is the pain of being remembered only when someone needs something. You know this feeling. It's that moment when your phone lights up and for a second your heart hopes, maybe they miss me, maybe they thought of me, only to realize, once again, they want a favor. They want your help. They want your time. They want your energy. But they don't want you. My friends, this is one of the most draining forms of emotional neglect because it teaches you slowly, silently, and painfully that your worth to them is conditional. A relationship, any relationship, is meant to be a two-way street. It's meant to be a place of giving and receiving, not taking and draining. But when someone only reaches out when life is easy for them or when they need something from you, it becomes a one-way road. A road where your kindness is used as fuel and your presence is taken for granted. And the worst part is, many of us keep giving. We give because we care. We give because we don't want to be rude. We give because we remember what it feels like to be alone. And we don't want others to feel that way. But in doing so, we forget something very important. A relationship built only on convenience is not a relationship. It's an arrangement, and a very selfish one. When someone values you only for what you can do for them, you will notice a strange pattern. They are quick to text when they need help, but slow to respond when you seek support. They are eager when they want a favor, but suddenly busy when you call just to talk. They remember you in emergencies, yet forget you in celebrations. They show up in your life like a shopper entering a store, not to build a connection, but to pick what they want and leave without any real interaction. And many of us, out of softness, out of loyalty, out of hope, keep excusing this behavior. We say, oh, they're just going through something, or maybe they'll treat me better next time, or perhaps I'm expecting too much. But my friends, expecting consistency is not expecting too much. Expecting appreciation is not expecting too much. Expecting balance, effort, and presence is not expecting too much. It is the foundation of any healthy bond. It is painful when you realize someone you deeply cared for sees you as an option rather than a priority. But what's even more painful is when you start shrinking your own needs just to keep them close. When you start becoming available every time they call so they never forget you. When you start giving more, hoping it will finally be reciprocated. When you start over-explaining your own emotional needs because they never seem to understand them. But the truth is, they understand. They simply don't care enough to change. People who use you will always disguise their intentions with sweet words when they need something. They will suddenly remember your value when they want help, and they will suddenly forget your existence once they get what they came for. A relationship like this doesn't nourish you. It drains you, it empties you, it makes you feel invisible, unimportant and replaceable. And here's the most important part. When you stop giving, their true nature appears. If someone disappears when you stop doing favors, understand clearly. Their presence was never real. It was dependent, conditional, transactional. My friends, you deserve people who check on you just to see if you're okay. You deserve people who remember you without a reason. You deserve messages that begin with, "How are you?" not "Can you do this for me?" You deserve connections where your presence is valued, your time is respected, and your heart is not used like a vending machine. Letting go of people who only contact you out of convenience doesn't make you harsh. It makes you wise. It makes you courageous. It makes you free. And freedom from one-sided relationships is one of the greatest acts of self-respect you can ever offer yourself. There is a kind of wound that doesn't bleed, yet it hurts the most, the wound of being made to feel small by someone you cared for. My friends, when a person constantly diminishes you through their words, their tone, their attitude, their jokes, it doesn't just touch your mind, it touches your identity. And identity is sacred. It is the foundation of how you see yourself, how you walk in the world, and how you allow others to treat you. When someone chips away at that foundation, even slowly, even subtly, it weakens your confidence in ways you don't notice immediately, but you feel deeply. It begins with tiny comments that sound harmless, but carry the weight of disrespect. Comments that are disguised as jokes, but land like insults. Comments that are brushed off as "I was just teasing," but leave a mark on your heart. At first, you laugh along, you pretend it doesn't bother you, you tell yourself maybe they didn't mean it, but with time the laughter feels forced, the smile feels fake, and the hurt becomes too heavy to hide. Someone who makes you feel small is not just speaking about you, they are speaking into you. And every negative word sinks deeper than you realize. A person who constantly criticizes your choices, mocks your dreams, or compares you to others is not giving you feedback. They are stealing your spirit. They stand on the outside making you feel like you're never enough, when the truth is, you're only not enough for those who don't have the capacity to appreciate you. And sadly, many of us keep trying harder. We try to prove our worth. We try to earn their approval. We try to impress them so they will finally see the good in us. But the painful truth is, people who are committed to belittling you will never see your greatness. Even if you shine a little brighter, they will dim the light. Even if you rise a little higher, they will pull you back down. Even if you love them deeply, they will continue to minimize you so they can feel bigger. The way someone speaks to you becomes the way you speak to yourself. If they repeatedly tell you you're not good enough, soon your inner voice begins to echo their words. If they constantly point out your flaws, you eventually start doubting your strengths. If they make you feel unimportant, you start believing that your presence doesn't matter. This is how emotional erosion happens. Not all at once, but gradually, silently, and painfully. No relationship should make you feel inferior. No friendship should make you feel ashamed of who you are. No bond should require you to shrink yourself just to fit into someone else's comfort zone. Your purpose in life is not to be someone's emotional punching bag or to absorb their insecurities. Often, when someone makes you feel small, it says more about how empty they feel inside. Their criticism is not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of their wounds, their fears, and their limitations. You deserve people who speak life into you, not those who drain the life out of you. People who celebrate your strengths, not those who magnify your weaknesses. People who stand by you, not above you. People who see your potential, not your imperfections. You deserve people who understand that lifting others does not make them smaller. It makes everyone grow. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away from someone who constantly belittles you. Not because you are angry, but because you finally understand that protecting your self-respect is more important than protecting a relationship built on disrespect. Walking away doesn't mean you are weak. It means you refuse to stay where you are treated as less than you are. When someone makes you feel small, let them go and watch how tall you can truly stand. There is a specific kind of pain that doesn't come from shouting or fighting. It comes from feeling confused, unsure, and mentally tangled, because someone you trusted keeps lying, manipulating, or playing mind games with you. My friends, this kind of emotional chaos is far more dangerous than any loud argument. A lie doesn't just break trust, it breaks your sense of reality. And manipulation doesn't just control your actions, it controls your confidence, your decisions, and even your peace. When someone lies to you, even about small things, it creates a tiny crack in the foundation of the relationship. And each lie widens that crack. Eventually, you start to question everything. Are they telling the truth? Am I overthinking? Did I misunderstand? You start doubting your own intuition. That is the power of deception. It makes you feel wrong even when you're right. A manipulative person doesn't shout. They twist. They twist your words, twist your emotions, twist situations in such subtle ways that you begin to feel guilty for things you never did. They blame you for their mistakes, and somehow you end up apologizing. They hurt you, and somehow you end up trying to fix the relationship. You walk away from conversations feeling exhausted, confused, and emotionally drained. They manipulate not by force, but by emotional confusion. And confusion is the easiest place for fear and self-doubt to grow. Mind games are even more subtle. It's when someone gives you attention one day and cold silence the next, just to keep you unsure. It's when they say you're too sensitive, when you express how their actions hurt you. It's when they deny things they clearly said or did, making you question your own memory. It's when they pull you close with affection, just long enough to make you believe they've changed, and then push you away again the moment you start trusting. This inconsistency is intentional. A person who plays mind games wants to keep you emotionally unbalanced, because a confused heart becomes easier to control. They don't want clarity, they want power. They don't want harmony, they want dominance. And the more you try to understand their behavior, the more tangled your thoughts become, until you start thinking that you are the problem. But my friends, you are not the problem. You are simply dealing with someone who knows your kindness, your patience, your empathy, and is using those very gifts against you. They know you will try to understand, forgive, adjust, compromise, and they rely on that. They depend on your softness to continue their harshness. The danger of lies, manipulation, and mind games is that they slowly steal your inner peace. You stop sleeping well, you lose focus, you carry emotional heaviness without knowing why. You lose trust not just in them, but in yourself. You start thinking love should feel like confusion, when love should feel like clarity. You start thinking connection should feel like anxiety, when connection should feel like safety. A healthy relationship is simple. You know where you stand, you feel secure, you feel respected, there is honesty, there is openness, there is consistency. You don't have to decode hidden meanings or fear sudden emotional storms. You don't have to walk on eggshells, worrying that one wrong word will spark another round of manipulation. And here is the truth many people avoid facing. You cannot fix someone who benefits from confusing you. You cannot heal someone who hurts you intentionally. You cannot trust someone who has made lying a habit. And you cannot grow in a space where your mind is constantly being played like a game. Letting go of someone who lies or manipulates is not cruelty. It is wisdom. It is strength. It is self-protection. It is reclaiming your clarity, your confidence, and your peace of mind. The moment you step away from such a person, you will feel something unusual. Silence. A silence that feels peaceful instead of empty. A silence that feels healing instead of scary. A silence that reminds you that your mind belongs to you, not to the tricks of someone who misused your trust. When someone repeatedly lies, manipulates, or plays with your emotions, the most loving thing you can do for yourself is to walk away, not to punish them, but to free yourself. Because a peaceful life begins the moment you stop entertaining emotional games played by those who never truly intended to love you with honesty. There is a quiet truth we often ignore, my dear friends. Not every person who smiles at you brings peace to your life. Some people smile, but the energy they carry slowly drains you from within. And you may not notice it at first because their presence has become familiar. But familiarity is not the same as harmony. Just because someone has been in your life for a long time doesn't mean they deserve to stay if their presence exhausts you. You know that feeling. When you meet someone and walk away feeling lighter, brighter, calmer. Those are the people whose energy feeds your soul. But then there are others. People who leave you emotionally tired, even after a short interaction. They don't shout, they don't fight, they don't hurt you directly. But somehow, every encounter takes a piece of your peace. You smile during the conversation, but inside you feel like your heart is shrinking. You say you're okay, but your mind feels like it's carrying weight. This is emotional drainage. One of the most subtle but powerful signs that someone does not belong in your inner circle. Energy drainers come in many forms. Sometimes it's the person who constantly complains, always focusing on the negative, turning every conversation into a session of misery. They carry emotional clouds everywhere. Ego, and without even realizing it, you absorb those clouds. You try to help them, comfort them, fix them, but the truth is some people don't want solutions, they want an audience. And being that audience can slowly empty your emotional reserves. Sometimes it's the person who expects you to be available at all times, no matter what you're going through. They want you to listen for hours, but when you need them, they disappear. They want your time, your patience, your understanding, but they don't offer the same in return. You become their emotional support system without ever receiving support back. Slowly, you start to feel overextended, overwhelmed, and undervalued. And then there are the people who create drama out of thin air. The ones who turn simple things into arguments. The ones who find problems even in peaceful moments. The ones who carry chaos with them like a shadow. Their presence is like emotional turbulence, unpredictable, uncomfortable, and exhausting. Every time you interact with them, your mind feels like it's fighting a battle it never asked to fight. But the most dangerous form of emotional drainage comes from those who pretend to care but secretly compete with you. They downplay your achievements, subtly undermine your confidence, and create doubt where there should be trust. They don't celebrate you, they tolerate you, and deep inside you feel it. You feel the tension, you feel the heaviness, you feel the emotional cost of keeping someone in your life who doesn't truly wish you well. When your energy is constantly drained by someone, your peace becomes a sacrifice, your mental clarity fades, your emotional balance breaks. You start feeling tired not because of your work or your responsibilities, but because you are carrying the emotional weight of a relationship that has become unsustainable. And the saddest part is that we often harm ourselves. We say, maybe I'm too sensitive, or maybe I should just adjust, or maybe I'm overthinking. But no, my friends, you are not overthinking. Your body feels what your mind tries to ignore. Your energy always tells the truth first. If someone makes you feel heavy, tight, stressed, or uncomfortable consistently, that is not your imagination. That is your intuition trying to protect you. People who drain your energy don't need to be bad people. Some of them are just incompatible with your emotional frequency. But the effect remains the same. Their presence makes your life harder, not easier. And you must understand that protecting your energy is not selfish, it is essential. Because when your energy is low, everything in your life becomes harder. Your relationships suffer, your goals suffer, your health suffers, your happiness suffers. The right people don't drain you, they recharge you. They make your heart feel warm, your mind feel clear, and your spirit feel alive. When someone constantly drains you, stepping away is not abandonment. It is wisdom. It is self-respect. It is choosing peace over exhaustion. Letting go of someone who drains you is not a loss, it is a gain. You gain clarity, you gain balance, you gain room for healthier connections. You gain space for people whose presence feels like sunlight, not a storm. And when you finally distance yourself from someone who drains your energy, you will feel something powerful. A sense of relief that tells you everything you needed to know. Your soul is finally free again. There is a very subtle form of emotional hurt that many people overlook. The hurt of being in a relationship where your feelings are never taken seriously. It doesn't shout, it doesn't slam doors, it doesn't leave visible scars. But inside the heart, it creates a silence so heavy that you begin to feel like your emotions don't matter. When someone consistently ignores your feelings, brushes them aside, or treats them as unimportant, so everything inside you begins to fade. Your voice, your confidence, your sense of self-worth. It starts in small ways. You express what's bothering you, but instead of listening, they tell you you're overreacting. You try to explain how their behavior hurt you, and they respond with, you're too emotional. You share your worries, and they reply with, stop being dramatic. Eventually, you stop expressing altogether. Not because you're okay, but because you're tired of being dismissed. You begin to carry your emotions alone, even when you're standing right next to someone who is supposed to care. And there is no loneliness deeper than being emotionally alone while physically with someone. This kind of disregard slowly teaches you a painful lesson. That your emotions are inconvenient, that your needs are excessive, and that your feelings are a burden. But my friends, your feelings are not a burden. They are the purest expressions of your humanity. A person who dismisses your emotions is telling you something without saying it directly. My comfort matters more than your pain. They don't want to understand. They don't want to reflect. They don't want to acknowledge their mistakes, because that would require maturity, humility, responsibility. Qualities many people struggle to develop. Over time, the constant emotional dismissals create cracks in your inner world. You begin to question your own emotions. You begin to doubt your reactions. You begin to silence your own heart. You start thinking twice before speaking, fearing that your feelings will be mocked or minimized. You start feeling unsafe, not physically, but emotionally. And emotional safety is the foundation of every healthy bond. What many people don't realize is that emotions are not weakness. Emotions are signals. They tell you when something is wrong, when something is missing, when something needs attention. When someone refuses to acknowledge your emotions, they are refusing to acknowledge your humanity. Emotional neglect is not just indifference, it is a quiet form of disrespect. A relationship where only one person's emotions matter is a relationship built on imbalance. And imbalance always leads to exhaustion. You become the peacemaker, the accommodator, the caretaker of the relationship, while the other person becomes the receiver of all the benefits without giving anything in return. You begin walking on emotional eggshells, afraid that expressing how you feel will lead to more invalidation. And the most heartbreaking part is that you start adjusting yourself to protect the feelings of someone who has no interest in protecting yours. You become quieter, softer, smaller, just to avoid being dismissed again. But shrinking yourself to keep someone else comfortable is not love. It is self-abandonment. Your emotions deserve someone who listens, not someone who laughs at them. Your emotions deserve someone who tries to understand, not someone who labels you as too much. Your emotions deserve someone who cares enough to ask, "Are you okay?" and truly mean it. Your emotions deserve a space where they are welcomed, not rejected. When someone repeatedly ignores or invalidates your feelings, it is a sign, a gentle but clear sign, that the emotional connection is one-sided. And without emotional connection, there can be no real trust, no real intimacy, no real bond. Letting someone like this remain in your life keeps you in a constant cycle of emotional self-doubt. Walking away from someone who disregards your emotions is not a sign of weakness, it is a sign of awakening. It is the moment you realize that your feelings deserve respect, that your heart deserves gentleness, and that your soul deserves a safe place to express itself without fear. And when you finally distance yourself from someone who never cared about your emotions, you will feel something powerful. The return of your inner voice, the return of your strength, the return of your emotional freedom. Because the moment you stop explaining your feelings to those committed to misunderstanding them is the moment you begin healing. There is a kind of emotional wound that is not caused by anger or cruelty, but by absence, the absence of effort, the absence of care, the absence of initiative from someone you once believed valued you. When a person repeatedly shows you that they are unwilling to put effort into the relationship, unwilling to meet you halfway, unwilling to fix what is broken, unwilling to grow with you, it sends a silent but powerful message: you matter, but not enough for me to try. It's a painful realization because effort is the purest expression of care. Anyone can say, "I love you." Anyone can say, "I'm here for you." Anyone can make promises when times are easy. But true care shows itself through consistent effort, through showing up even when it's inconvenient, through listening even when it's uncomfortable, through trying even when it's difficult. When someone refuses to make effort, what they are really refusing is you. At first, it starts subtly. You are the one always initiating conversations. You ask how they are, they seldom ask how you are. You plan the meetups, the calls, the moments, while they simply show up, sometimes late, sometimes half-interested, sometimes only when it suits them. You compromise again and again, hoping they will finally meet you halfway, but somehow halfway never comes. You begin adjusting your expectations. You begin bending your boundaries. You begin lowering your needs just to keep the peace. You tell yourself maybe they're busy, or maybe they're stressed, or maybe I should understand them. And yes, sometimes people do go through phases, but a phase ends, a pattern continues. When someone consistently puts in zero effort, it's not a phase, it's who they are choosing to be. What hurts the most is not their lack of effort, but the reflection it forces you to see. You start questioning your own worth. You start asking yourself, why am I the only one trying? You feel like you're carrying the entire relationship on your shoulders, and the weight becomes heavier with each passing day. It drains your emotional energy. It dims your spirit. It makes you feel like you are begging for love that should have flowed freely. People often forget that relationships are not built on grand gestures. They are built on tiny moments of effort. The message that says, "I miss you." The call that says, "I'm thinking of you." The presence that says, "I care enough to show up." When these small efforts disappear, the relationship becomes hollow. Words become empty. Promises become meaningless. And the silence between you becomes louder than the conversations you used to have. Effort reflects priority. Someone who truly values you will never be comfortable watching you carry everything alone. They will never let you feel like you're the only one trying. They will never allow love to become a one-sided responsibility. But someone who doesn't value you will let you do all the work while giving the absolute minimum in return. Because they know you won't leave. They know your heart is kind. They know your loyalty is strong. And they take advantage of it. Slowly, without realizing it, you begin to shrink your own needs so you can keep them comfortable. You stop expressing your desires because you fear being seen as demanding. You stop asking for time because you don't want to feel like a burden. You stop expecting effort because expecting only leads to disappointment. And that is how emotional self-neglect begins, when you prioritize someone who doesn't even prioritize you. But my friends, effort is the language of love. And love that lacks effort will always leave you starving for affection. You deserve someone who tries without being forced, someone who remembers you without needing reminders, someone who values your presence without you having to prove it, someone who invests in you not because they fear losing you, but because they cherish having you. Letting go of someone who refuses to put effort into you is not betrayal, it is self-respect. It is recognizing that your heart deserves reciprocity, not one-sided devotion. It is understanding that relationships flourish when both people water them, not when one pours their entire soul into dry soil. And when you finally release someone who never tried, you will feel the weight lift off your spirit. You will realize that the problem was never you. The problem was their refusal to rise to the level you deserved. Because love is not measured by how much you suffer, but by how much both people are willing to try. When someone constantly minimizes your achievements, something inside you slowly begins to dim. Not because your light has become weaker, but because there is a hand repeatedly covering the flame. Think about it. You share something you worked hard for, something that kept you awake at night, something that demanded discipline, sacrifice, and self-growth. And instead of receiving even a small spark of encouragement, you get sarcasm, comparison, or silence. Over time, this doesn't just drain motivation, it makes you question whether your accomplishments even matter. And that's the tragedy. Not that someone else failed to value you, but that they made you stop valuing yourself. Imagine a garden where every flower blooms with pride. Roses, lilies, marigolds, each unique in its beauty. But there's one person who walks through that garden, and instead of appreciating the colors, the fragrance, the life, they only point out the fallen petals, the uneven stem, the small imperfections. Would you let such a person visit your garden every day? No, because you know slowly their negativity will destroy your ability to see beauty, even in things that are inherently beautiful. The same goes for your life. When people only highlight what you lack, they blind you to what you have. When they refuse to acknowledge your growth, you begin to shrink yourself just to fit their small vision of who they think you should be. And that is exactly why such people must be removed lovingly but firmly. Because encouragement is not a luxury, it is emotional oxygen. And those who constantly make you feel small are quietly suffocating your confidence. You deserve people who clap for you even when the world is quiet, who celebrate your small wins, who remind you that your life has meaning and your journey has value. Stay close to those who lift you. Distance yourself from those who belittle you. Because if someone cannot respect your growth, they should not have access to your future.